in listen-only mode.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's webinar on starting your corporate social responsibility program. We're really excited to be offering this training tonight. It's something that we've really enjoyed putting together. So a little bit about us. Grow and Lead exists to help the UP be a model community for youth, and we do that a couple ways. One is through strengthening nonprofits, and the other is through promoting positive youth development. So tonight's training falls under the strengthening nonprofits area. We're going to talk about how nonprofits and businesses can work together to be good corporate citizens. We also offer a membership program. So one of the benefits of membership is webinars like these, as well as other members only trainings that we do virtually. We also have special registration rates for the UP Nonprofit Conference, 4 hours of consulting and brainstorming with our staff, and discounts on individualized training, workshops, retreats, things like that. So if you're not a member, be sure to check out more about our membership. So your presenters tonight, there is myself, I am Victoria, and soon you'll be hearing from Chad. So Chad and I do a lot of training together. I found a picture of the two of us facilitating a retreat. So that's wonderful. There we are. So you can kind of put a face to the voices. So tonight's topic, corporate social responsibility. When I hear corporate social responsibility, my mind automatically jumps to environmental issues that businesses and nonprofits are addressing, but it is so much more than that. This is a great quote. Show me where your treasure is, and I will show you where your heart is. This is the essence of corporate social responsibility. It's the way that your business or nonprofit acts as a good citizen and member of your community. So, the official definition of corporate social responsibility, which is often abbreviated as CSR, is a corporation's initiatives to assess and take responsibility for the company's effects on environmental and social well being. So, today we'll talk about three pillars of corporate social responsibility: philanthropy, volunteerism, and environmental sustainability. We'll examine the impact corporate social responsibility has on a nonprofit or a small business's operations, and we'll give tips and ideas on ways your company can implement programs in these three areas. I do want to remind everyone that in the state of Michigan, nonprofits are corporations, just like a for-profit is a corporation. So I really love this topic because it applies to any type of business that you might be in. So knowing that is the official definition, we're going to do a quick exercise on your side pane. You'll see there's an area where you can type in questions. So just to get a little bit of feedback, knowing the definition now, do you feel that your company, nonprofit, or business, wherever you're affiliated with, is engaging in corporate social responsibility? So you can go ahead and type in that questions pane, yes or no. And if you think you are, feel free to type in what you're doing. And while you all are typing, Chad and I will talk a little bit about what we do here as part of Grow and Lead's corporate social responsibility program. And we'll dive a little deeper with examples as the webinar goes on. But a few things, we do employee fundraising, and we do payroll deductions, and we've done some staff volunteering. Hey, Chad?
That's right.
Yeah, we've done some staff volunteering. I think those are the three areas that we talk about.
Well, and here's another one, Victoria, that I don't think people think about a lot is one of those different ways to give back is that we are encouraged in our organization to not only volunteer for organizations, but also be in leadership. So many of us serve on one or multiple board of directors for nonprofits and social entities in the area. So that's another way of giving back and being socially responsible.
Oh, that's a great point. All right. Well, it doesn't look like anyone wants to type in the questions box. That's okay. We'll move on. So, Chad, I'm going to pass it over to you to chat a little bit about why having a CSR program, regardless of if you're nonprofit or for profit, is important.
Sounds good. One of the things that people often ask, especially this has come from both nonprofit and the for-profit sector, but especially in the for-profit sector, where they tend to be giving um, much higher levels of monetary or even physical things when they're giving to donate to social causes. Nonprofits also engage in that, but just usually to a lesser degree. Because of the nature of our work, we tend to be even more larger at volunteering and giving of our time than the limited resources. But so the big question is, how do I stay in budget when there's so many demands and needs out there, and people are coming to our organizations continuously asking for, whether it's help, personnel help, or volunteer hours, or the big one asking for dollars, or even donation of goods or other services, or which is commonly as a gift card or something for your organization. So how do you stay in budget when you have all these different demands and requests coming in? And again, if you have a heart for giving back to your community, it's going to be very easy to get swayed into giving too much, which then could potentially hurt your either business or operations. So ways we can stay in budget. The big thing we'll talk about today, you'll see with these pillars that Victoria's going to talk about too, is the basic number one thing you do is you figure out what your priority is. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too, but that's how you stay in budget, is you find out what is your passion for your organization, picking that topic, staying with it, maybe building a little bit for other projects and requests that come along, but really knowing what resonates with you as an organization is a way you can stay in budget. So we're going to talk about getting started. How do you get started? Why do you do this? Why is it important to be socially responsible from the corporate level? So we'll talk about some of these reasons why it's important to give back to the community. Now, we'd like to say and believe that we just all want to give because it's out of the most altruistic reasons, and it's just like because that's the right thing to do. I would say a lot of giving is done for that big reason. There's a leadership believes it's important to help our community, to help the environment, to help others, and so they'll want to give of the resources and their work and their people. However, sometimes it's not the only reason, or sometimes it's not a good enough reason for some to want to give. And so there are other reasons that are just as good, maybe not just as good, but they are the good reasons to give and to be socially responsible. And we'll just go through this list. The first one, we talk about your reputation, respect in the community. When you're known as an organization or a company that's giving, that really does build your reputation. I bet right now when I tell you, ask you to think about a business, a local business that is known for giving back in the community, probably a couple already pop into your head just when I mention that. That means they're succeeding in their ability to give back, and why they're doing that is they do want to be noticed. It's okay. It is okay to take that recognition that you are giving, and you want to build a reputation to be known as a giving organization. And you'll find that increasingly so in nonprofits lately, as well as they are co-sponsoring events, also to show that it's not just all about them and them trying to raise money, but also they believe in the other causes in the community. So you're seeing more partnerships with organizations. You're seeing more nonprofits volunteer at each other's events. So those things really do build your reputation and respect for your organization in the community. It actually can really build your morale of your organization. There's a lot of employees that really are proud of the place they work because of their social responsibilities, because they're willing to give back and make their community better places. I hate using the term millennial, so let's just say a lot of the young professionals right now coming into careers look for companies, look for organizations who have a plan and who are active in giving back to the community. That is something that's attractive to them as they find a career in a workplace. So talk about boosting the morale in your own organization. The other thing it does when you talk about giving back, opportunities, especially the hands-on, the volunteerism, is actually can build camaraderie. It can build a collective we. when you go out to serve together into the community. So something that you necessarily don't have to pay for as the organization, or if maybe you can allow some paid time off for them to do that, but the rewards that you can reap as an organization or a company are immense in building the cohesiveness of your employees, and giving them a boost in their morale and make them happy about what they're doing. That's not just their everyday work. So I mentioned the talent attraction and retention, again, especially young professionals, but even myself, considered in the middle realm of that. And it's something that I take very seriously when I'm looking at places. Like, is this place serious about making sure our community is a better place, and giving back? So that goes right into the next one is, truly, if an organization, whether company or nonprofit, wants to have a successful enterprise, a company wants a thriving town, city, community, whatever, thriving, because if there's more people happy and living life and enjoying that area, there's more opportunities for them to sell their goods and services. For nonprofits, again, most nonprofits' whole goals are to build better communities in whatever their niche group or target is. So again, another good reason to give back is just trying to build it. Yes, you can use it as a marketing strategy. The attaboys and attagirls and, hey, look at that company with the stuff they're doing, is a very good reason to give back. And you can use it for marketing. In fact, we have companies that support some of the events we do here at Grow and Lead, and they are right out front with, we're using this as a way to get our name out there, and we want people to see that we believe in what you're doing and the good works you're doing. And yes, if you can make us spotlighted and highlighted, that'd be greatly appreciated. So it's blatantly a part of their marketing strategy, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good way to market yourself versus other things that could come up that maybe are not so good. So respect from employees, networking opportunities is a great one. That's a really neat one. As you give to other organizations or causes, you're meeting with their workers, their leadership, getting a handle and an idea of the needs of your community. And so those opportunities to network with those who are the feet on the ground, who are really touching the ones in our community that need the most services or helps, is a great opportunity to see where collective impact can happen, and where we can take these sponsorship or giving dollars and create more lasting change. And for nonprofits to help each other, again, networking to find partners who are doing maybe not the same work that we're doing, but something that's so similar or so close that partnerships are natural. And so those networking opportunities, when you are serving, when you're volunteering, open up doors for future endeavors together, or maybe enhancing each other's programs. So there's just a lot of good reasons to be socially responsible and to give back to your communities, and to help those who need it most. And if you know the area, especially the UP, we have a lot of needs, and we have a lot of good organizations doing a lot of good things. And now it's just matching, finding the right corporations, companies, nonprofits to work together, then to show that we can do more. And so, yeah, using corporate responsibility, social responsibility, is a great way to get your name out there, to be recognized, but also then to start making a difference. So let's talk about how you get started. And this is a really big, important, you say, okay, great, Chad, this has been nice information. I know the reasons why I want to give, thanks, but how do I start this? So the very first thing you have to ask is, do you or your organization have any giving priorities? So if anyone still wants to just tap away any questions, or give us, if you want to share it all, if you think or know of your organization or company that has actual specific giving priority. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry, we'll talk about it in a second. But are you familiar with what your organization's giving priorities are? I don't see any activity. They're a quiet group tonight, aren't they, Victoria?
Yes, but that's why we're doing this training, because it's such like a new, exciting topic.
That's right. Well, I don't see any typing going on, so I'll just jump right into it. So the first thing you do, you set with your giving priorities is you want to select or narrow down your field of your cause, whatever cause that you're passionate about. And this is important. So you can start off by either one of two ways. Keep a broad idea. So a broad topic, let's say you're passionate. Well, this is one of our passions here, so I'll use it. It's easy. Is youth. Now, when I throw out the idea that our cause is youth, do you know how many different organizations fall under that umbrella? Hundreds of different ones doing different things when it relates to youth. But maybe you want to keep it that broad. You're saying, I don't want to narrow my topic too far down or my cause too far down. I just want to be able to give towards or volunteer towards anything that has to deal with youth. And so it leaves you open to listen and solicit a lot of different ideas and proposals that might come your way or requests. However, going back to the how do I stay in budget, if you're worried about being overwhelmed with too many requests, even if you've been listed your priority as youth, but you're saying it's still too broad, I can't handle all the requests, it's just too much and I can't give, you can be more specific. You can narrow down that topic. So again, going with my idea, the big broad of youth, maybe you want to do about let's see, how about, well, homeless youth specifically, or how about youth who are struggling academically. So whatever it is, and then there'd be organizations that work with those specific needs when it comes to youth, that then they'll be aware of your priorities and go, oh. And again, the important thing about picking a priority, if you want to narrow it down, pick your cause, is that it helps both you as the giver and those who are coming to ask you. It really gives both of you a starting ground and a starting place, and to be able to say yes and to be able to comfortably say no. In other words, if you have been very outwardly expressing to everyone and it's listed out there that you give to youth, that's your thing, we give to youth, or you give to environmental causes, whatever your cause is, and a group comes with a completely unrelated request, they're into community development and redoing historical buildings, and you can turn to them and say, you know what, I see your passion, I love what you're trying to do, but it doesn't fit at all with what our giving policy, what our focus is, because we focus on giving to youth. If they walk away upset or discouraged or whatever, that's kind of on them, because you have placed your specifics. You have made it well known that this is what we give to. And then you don't have to feel guilty. It's like, well, no, if another one comes to us with a youth related thing, then we can see if it's something that we can give. Again, selecting your cause, you can look at just strictly local, like right around your neighborhoods, the region, which I'd say like UP wide, or even on national. And again, this is all based upon, if you're this entrepreneur, it's what your passions and your convictions are for what cause you want. If you work with a board or a group of partners, you collectively decide how big or how small you want to be able to give your charitable givings or volunteer time. If you have a natural relationship with certain organizations, that's kind of a no-brainer. If you really have already been connected, your business or organization is connected with another one, maybe that's what you kind of, not necessarily exclusively, but maybe it's your priorities to give to that organization. So again, let's go back to my youth example. And one of your higher managements, your CFO or CEO, or if you're not that big of a company, the entrepreneur, grew up and had a wonderful experience with Big Brothers Big Sisters themselves. Well, there you go. There's your company, and that might be your passion to say, you know what? When we do this kind of fundraising, when we try to give back to the community, I really want to support Big Brothers Big Sisters. So as a company, organization, we're going to do that. So that's just one example of if you have a relationship already or past experience, there might be a natural fit for you. You want to select your cause because you want to be able to tell your story. I encourage, in fact, when it comes to corporate giving, and picking and selecting, narrowing down your cause is posted somewhere, whether it's on your web page or Facebook or whatever you use. Tell your story about why that area is important to you, so that again, when people come to solicit you for gifts or donations or whatever it is, they are understanding what they're walking into. You've told them the story. This is why this is important to me. This is why we give in this area. So it takes away some ambiguity about whether you will or won't fund them. It helps people that so they don't bark up the wrong tree, so to speak, and waste your time and their time. The more you can tell about what you're doing and what your priority is and communicate that, the better it is. You can ask for staff input. Maybe they collectively have something they want to be able to give for, fundraise for, give of their time. But the most important thing when you're selecting your cause is truly believe in it. And I really mean that's important. You could pick the worst problem in your community and say, well, we need to give to that because it's the most thing. But if you don't believe in it, that's not your heart, even though those dollars will be used for good, I'm sure they will, you'll never fully buy into your own corporate giving or volunteerism because you don't truly believe in it. So when you do pick a topic, when you do pick a cause, when you do pick a section of something you believe in, make sure it's truly something you're passionate about, because then it's not going to be difficult to raise the funds or give the times, because it'll be a natural outpouring of what you already believe and you already feel. Victoria?
All right. Thank you, Chad. That was awesome. Um, so the first thing that we're going to talk about pillar-wise is the philanthropy pillar. When many people think of giving back as a nonprofit or for-profit business organization, I think philanthropy is really the first thing that comes to mind. Specifically, that first one, the product donations. Now, I called it product donations, but it could take the form of a service that you offer. It can take the form of a facility that you own. There are all kinds of things. It would be basically giving up any earned revenue that your corporation normally makes, and giving it in kind to someone else. So that's the first type of philanthropy. The second could be sales driven giving. So, again, this kind of deals with earned revenue and earmarking a portion of that earned revenue for a specific cause. It can also go beyond the monetary profit that you make to kind of bring in the product donation piece. And so, my example of this nationally would be Tom's Shoes, where they have their buy a pair, give a pair philosophy. So, if you purchase a pair of Tom's Shoes, they send a pair overseas to a third world country. Uh, there's also places I've seen where it's for every one of these sold, we plant a tree, or 20% of the profits we make on this is donated to a cause. So with earned revenue, there's stuff you can do like that. The third
Hey,
type,
hey,
yep,
Victoria,
yes,
can I jump in and give you just a couple more examples?
absolutely.
I saw this as a pet owner. I saw that there's this online service. You can get this bark box where you buy stuff for your pets. And right now, to help with shelters and whatever, if you buy a bark box, they'll send one to your local shelter to
Oh,
give
that
gifts of
is cool.
toys and stuff like treats. And the other one is tomorrow here locally in Marquette County is Spread the Goodness Day. And a bunch of organizations are using the sales from tomorrow's um, a percentage of tomorrow's sales of those businesses to give back to certain causes around the county. So it's kind of really cool that it's just exactly that. It's driven by their sales, but they're definitely using that to earmark for more additional giving. So it's kind of cool.
Yes, and we're going to talk more about Spread Goodness Day on the volunteerism slide too. So thanks for bringing
Okay.
that up, Chad. That was great. Um, Third option, annual giving. So this is designating an annual cash contribution as part of your budget. So you can use it for, straight up unrestricted cash donations to an organization, or you can use it as under part of your marketing budget. I know there are nonprofits that kind of do this where they have a portion of marketing set aside for sponsorships. So then when an event comes up, they have a little bit of cash set there ready. So if it's an organization that's hosting an event with a similar mission to your organization's, the money is there to support that event. So that is one way that you can use your annual giving and marketing budget to build your brand and give back to your community. Um, One of my favorites is matching gifts, because matching gifts allow your employees to have a say in your giving priorities. So, with a matching gift, the corporation gives the same gift or a ratio of the gift that your staff member gives to an organization. So you set the parameters. So you could pick a cause like animals. So if someone gives to an animal affiliated organization, you would match it, or it can be broad and just any contribution. You can set minimum and maximums. So it could be a gift of at least $25 or $100, the match starts. And then you can also set a maximum, anywhere from 500 to 5 million if you really wanted to. And then the minimum and maximum kind of plays into that ratio. So you can match dollar to dollar, you can match 4 to 1. So for every $4 that the employee contributes, the company matches $1. So with matching gifts, there's a lot of things to consider, but it kind of empowers your employees to make more of a difference, and be excited about where they work. If you have the infrastructure in place, starting a community grant, award, or scholarship can be a really unique way to go. With this type of philanthropy, you take applications for a set amount that is awarded routinely. So, real world example here at Grow and Lead, we have the Judy Watson Olson Education Enrichment Award. Another plug, that application is due tomorrow if you plan on applying, March 9th. And it's a $500 award that we solicit applications for each year. The committee then scores the project based on the criteria that has been developed when the award was created, and it's awarded at our annual Excellence in Education banquet in April. So you could set up an award like that where it's kind of like a grant, or you could set up a scholarship and leave it up to the school that's benefiting to select the winner. Depending on how much capital you're working with, you may even want to talk with a foundation to see if they would be the place that houses it. And then finally, if you have at least one paid staff person, you can look at payroll deductions. So payroll deductions, like they take the cash contribution directly out of your employee's paycheck. The United Way, I know, has a really strong payroll deduction program. So each year they have forms that people can fill out to opt into giving this way. And then it's easy for the employee to commit to giving a small amount every week or every other week, which after a year adds up. Um, Nonprofits can also consider doing this for their paid staff that have chosen to give to their own organization. So they can say, if you choose, it's a choice, choose to contribute to the organization you work for, you can use payroll deductions to take that money right out of your paycheck. So those are kind of some ways that philanthropy can be used in your corporate social responsibility program. The second pillar we're going to talk about is volunteerism. So, according to the Corporation for National and Community Service, the intangible benefits of volunteering include pride, satisfaction, and accomplishment. And in addition to that, there's also some tangible skills that can be learned, such as problem solving, um, communication skills, and better connecting. And then I found an article from Forbes that listed 5 ways volunteering can help with your career. And those include making you feel like you have more time, um, using your skills and developing new skills, keeping you healthy, using your experience to build new experiences, and happiness. So, right there, those are some really great reasons to encourage volunteerism with your staff. So there are 2 ways to look at giving volunteer time, group time or individual time. Some organizations choose to volunteer together as a team. They may do it after their normal business hours. They may close up shop early and head out and do something. Um, or if you're a board, you could spend part of a board retreat giving back to a place that has helped with your mission if you have no paid staff. So that's one way that you can work it in if you're a small nonprofit. If you have employees, you can set up a time and kind of build it around your workday, like I said, or do it on the clock. And then locally, there are some small businesses that actually offer paid volunteer time to be used by staff members. So it's a monthly allocation. The one I'm familiar with, they get 4 hours a month to volunteer at any cause that they're interested in. So they just kind of fill out a sheet of paper at the end of each month, letting the HR people know this is where we spent our time, and they get paid for those volunteer hours. Another fun way to encourage volunteerism is volunteer team grants. So these are small grants, like 100 to 250, that you can give to a volunteer team to complete a project. So by empowering your employees, your volunteers, whoever it is that you're giving these small grants to, they're going to get excited because their idea will be funded and they'll be able to make the actual difference that they're interested in making, which is really cool. They're really giving back to the things that they care most about. Um, like I said, talking about Spread Goodness Day, you can participate in cause days. So, Chad talked earlier about selecting the causes that you're passionate about. So, if your company has a cause that they really love and there's a cause day affiliated with it, you can participate as a group in the cause day and do something good. Or if there's not really a specific cause you've identified, doing a general day like Spread Goodness Day, which, like I said, is tomorrow, could be a great way to get everyone together and volunteering and doing something fun in the community. And then finally, internal employee fundraising. This one is more for places that have a staff. It encourages staff to spearhead a project around a cause that everyone cares about. So there's lots of fun ideas that fall into this. It could be a chili cook-off, jeans day, purchase an extra hour of lunch. There's all kinds of exciting ways to incentivize coworkers, and even volunteers. If you have volunteers that come in to the office during business hours, and they want to participate, they absolutely can. So that way, everyone's working together and raising a little money for something that you care about. Finally, environmental sustainability. This can be the first thing people think about, or it can be the last thing people think about, depending on where you kind of fall on that spectrum. So basically, we're going to talk about being a good steward of resources, because no matter what type of organization you are, uh, really caring about the resources that you use is important. So, first, we're going to talk about recycling. Traditional recycling, like sending things away in recycling bins, and um, passing things on recycling. So, if recycling isn't set up in your office, maybe look into seeing what it would take to start a recycling program. If you do start one, make sure things are labeled clearly so everyone knows what can and can't be recycled, including specialty recycling items. So I know here we recycle batteries and ink cartridges. So we have two special bags for those things, and we know that they go in there when they're empty and they get recycled. If you have something large like a computer or a printer that's still working, but maybe you don't need it anymore, it's not keeping up with your workload, or you just have too many printers, consider gifting it to another organization that may need it, or posting it online and saying, free, and have people take it and continue using it. Not only is recycling good for the environment, but it could impact your bottom line if you are someone that has to pay for garbage pickup. So if you have to, bag and tag, recycling could help kind of get things out of the bags and into the bins. Reusing things. It's so easy to just throw something away when you're done with it. But instead of heading straight for the trash can, think about how it can be reused for really any reason. We were talking about reusing things here earlier today, and the topic of 3-ring binders came up. So when you're done with a 3-ring binder and the contents of it, instead of just tossing it, take the contents out, recycle it, and hold on to that 3-ring binder and use it the next time you need to start a new binder. Another idea that came up is having reusable cutlery, cups, and dishes on hand for staff or volunteers that may be eating on your premise. instead of using, the paper and the styrofoam and the plastic, which ends up in the landfill. You can also flip your file folders inside out and use it again. It makes it a really pretty Easter egg color when you do that. And then you can consider getting your toner and inkjet cartridges refilled. So these are just some simple ways to reuse things that can impact the amount of waste that you create. Energy use, especially if you pay your own electrical at your facility, this is one that you should pay attention to. Do things need to be fully powered on all the time? If not, shut them down or put them in a power saving mode. Um, and consider getting lower energy light bulbs like LED light bulbs next time a conventional one burns out. Meetings, one of my favorites. Do you really need to go to all of those meetings? We've really been encouraging virtual meetings here instead of in-person meetings. For things like nonprofit board meetings, it could be a little more complicated depending on what your bylaws state. There may need to be some amendments made. But for informal committees and meetings, planning meetings, things that aren't that you don't need to be compliant on, like you do your board meetings, um, getting people together on a free service like Zoom or Google Hangouts can be a real easy way to not have people driving. So, one of the things about meetings that are far away is you have the drive time, which is time that people aren't productive. You have the fuel costs. You have the facility being used. There's all these different things that kind of go into meetings that I had actually never really thought about until I started writing this. So, that was a really interesting eye-opening thing, was how much time we can spend in meetings. So by using virtual meetings, it's environmentally more friendly, and it can help with productivity because you won't be driving, spending that drive time, especially for the regional meetings where you may need to drive, 3 hours. So that's cool. And then printing. So it's really easy to hit the print button without thinking. So next time you're printing, I just challenge you to think, do I really need a physical copy of this? And if you do, can it be printed double-sided or formatted to fit one page? Now, I am notorious for trying to fit every Excel sheet on one page to the point where like you can't read it because it's in size 4 font. So you don't have to take it that far. But making those small tweaks, if they're possible, that can really make a dent in how much paper you're throwing in the garbage at the end of the year when you're cleaning out your files, and it can help your supplies budget because if you're printing less, it's less paper you need to purchase. So keep that in mind. All right, so now that we've talked about these 3 pillars and some examples of how you can implement them, we're going to go over things to think through while implementing. So, first, selecting your priorities. This will help you focus on what change your organization wants to make. Next, think through those initiatives that we talked about. If there's multiple initiatives that interest you, start with one. You can always expand and bring in new initiatives at different times. It can be overwhelming to try to start all of them at one time. So I suggest kind of taking one, getting it up and running, and then kind of tackling the next one and getting it up and running until you have your corporate social responsibility program that could include anywhere from, 1 to all of the initiatives. And finally, know how you're going to tell your story. So here at Grow and Lead, like I said, we do internal employee fundraising, and it benefits the United Way. So our story is that as a nonprofit capacity building center, we understand the strength of the nonprofit sector. We have a variety of activities, including a silent auction where staff members bring in something they've made or owned but they don't use. All of the money we raise during our week-long silent auction is donated to United Way to help our fellow nonprofits with funding that is critical to their mission. So knowing your story, owning your story, and sharing your story on how you give back leads to some of those marketing, reputation, and branding um, benefits that Chad spoke of earlier. And honestly, it just kind of makes you feel good. Like reading that, I'm like, yeah, we do that. Like, what a cool place I work at. So it's really feel good that not only the work that I do working for a nonprofit is great work that's mission focused, but the activities we engage in as a staff also further our mission. It's really, really cool. So I love worksheets. I put together this worksheet that can be found in the handouts pane over in your GoToWebinar control panel. I will also be posting it on our website and including it in the email with the link to the video that will go out tomorrow. So you can download it and fill it out when you're ready to start a new corporate social responsibility initiative. It helps you identify your priorities. So once you do this once, you can transfer the priorities over each time, and then it lists all of those initiatives we talked about, except for cause days. I think I wasn't able to scoot that on because I kind of added it after the worksheet was done, but you can write that in there. So you circle the one that you're doing and then you write your story. And in this story section, you'll see the example I just read about our story working to raise funds for the United Way. So this worksheet will definitely help you think through the things that you're doing and how you want to give back. Um, so with that, Chad and I love this topic, and you can contact us if you need help getting this started. Chad, I see we might have a question.
I did not see a question pop up here. Did I miss it?
Oh, I see it. Never mind. It's not a question. We're just doing a great job. Thank you. Love it when we get good feedback. Um, so
Yeah, so
that,
please do reach
yeah.
out. We Victoria and I spend we love going out for coffee to brainstorm stuff we're gonna work on next at here at Grow and Lead. And this is one of the topics we talk about is how to help people figure out where to give back and how to give. And it's really a fun thing to brainstorm. So if you're just looking for ideas, if you want to help narrow your focus or pick your passion or just help you figure out what that passion is, that's a discussion we can help you work through and help you just asking a few pointed questions and kind of searching for your thing, your it factor that you really want to make an impact on. So yeah, we're here to listen and brainstorm with you if you need us.
Awesome. I don't see any more questions. But like I said, our information is here, and I will be sending out a link to this video and to the worksheet probably tomorrow, late morning or early afternoon. And feel free to share it with your boards or your staff and kind of come up with that first initiative and let us know what you came up with because we love hearing when people take the trainings and use them to implement something. All right. Anything else from you, Chad?
No, I think you did one heck of a job. Good job, Victoria.
Thank you. That was a really fun training to do, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. But with that, good evening. Have a good evening, and thank you for attending. Bye.